At Brown, it's strange because we're told coming here that this is such a liberal bastion and that you're never going to have to prove your masculinity and that it's so gender neutral and everything is fine, but it's not true because I think society is so pervasive that no matter where you go, it's going to be there. And here it just takes on a different form because no one wants to admit that there is a problem with masculinity, there is a problem with so much here, and so it becomes a matter of having to speak out about it when everyone is telling you that everything is fine, and it becomes another instance of power being played out, and you have to really be willing to work against that and say, you know, my idea of masculinity isn't yours and that's okay.
We have a lot of different groups, so we have a lot of different social circles here at Brown. And for me, a lot of the circles I enter in the spaces I'm in, there's a lot more gender fluid and more like loose like understanding and definitions of masculinity. But I know with a lot of my friends, I mean, especially just looking at Brown in general as a primarily white institution, with like a small but still present Greek influence, there's still a lot of like unhealthy, like there's very much unhealthy, toxic masculinity. And that resonates in party culture, frat culture, blacking out, a kind of asserting dominance, and that goes into relationship norms, even everyday things like walking on the street and even if I have a white male in front of me and I'm walking, like there's an expectation that I'll move, and that's even heightened by some of my friends who are women of color or just women in general. Like it's these small microaggressions that I think is very much present on campus.
I know that there's men at Brown that like essentially use their title as a feminist or someone that is like aware in order to like seduce women. And like, I don't know, I mean, clearly Brown is like a unique place in that there's a lot of expression that is allowed that's not allowed in other spaces. But I mean, I still would say at Brown there's not a great model of what it would mean to be like a good person as a male.
I'm more involved with the queer community, and I see within that community masculinity isn't necessarily talked about in terms of manhood, but more in terms of sort of what does it mean to be like masculine as a queer person, and especially almost as like a woman or like a trans masculine person, which I think is like a really different way of looking at masculinity than a lot of people have.
Traditional man is someone who's like stiff and like not emotional and like hard and stern and really aggressive, and like even with like posture, like there's certain things that you're supposed to do and certain ways you're supposed to act and like be and like that's complicated by different identity. But like I've learned to really question that and just see my role and how maybe a lot of that doesn't even resonate with me.
There's like a lot of subcultures within the community around queerness, around racial identities, around like being an athlete or being STEM.
But for me personally, being involved with football, masculinity is tough, no emotion, physical domination, and those traits are like good for like what I do on the football field, but not necessarily good for like interacting with other people on campus and everything.
And being around a lot of other guys, it's just that a factor that being masculine means to be strong, to just be tough throughout different struggles or various adversity and overall conflict. And I think that plays a factor into a lot of guys feeling that they should not express how they feel or to show grit and tough-mindedness throughout different struggles. And I feel that plays a big factor into other guys or just people on campus at Brown, that masculinity is a sense that you shouldn't be able to open up through how you really feel.
I mean, in my experience, I think that there is like an extremely low standard for like male feminists everywhere, particularly at Brown. I see like, I don't know, I feel like I've gotten a lot of like appreciation for doing things that if we think about them logically are like not really like, it's just like the most like even below what the expectation should be, right? So like, so I think that's an issue. I think that another issue at Brown is that there's a lot of men that can really intellectualize these issues, that could list off the names of feminists and everything, but like how does that translate into like every day, the way you're living your life? Like, do you really have the courage to change the way you're living, or is it just about a name?
And kind of just having more like having more spaces for people to talk about it, I think that'll really help towards pushing kind of like a paradigm shift, hopefully.